Do you know this moment when you're having conversation with someone and you're asking questions, but at some point you just don't know what to ask next? And something happening, as people call it, awkward silence. But there are actually four reasons why it's actually happening, and it doesn't matter whether on a sales call, just normal conversation with a friend, or a date. In today's video, we're gonna go over these four reasons why you don't know what to ask next. And before we dive into that, let me introduce myself. My name is Arslan, and I'm the founder of Socratic Sales. And the last few years, I've closed multi 4 and 5-figure deals internationally without using any sales scripts, and helped hundreds of business owners to do the same with the Socratic sales system, just by understanding why humans make decisions, how they make decisions, and why their brain says yes. And if we're talking about the sales call, the sales industry is full of sales scripts. And what does a sales script have? Different questions, different points, and just everything is scripted pretty much. Because why business owners, entrepreneurs, they like to use sales scripts? Because it's just easier for the brain. Maybe you are not reading the script, maybe you don't have a script, but you have something in your dogs, that you keep coming back, consciously or subconsciously. Because our brain, when there's a threat, like for example, in a stressful situation where, okay, you can't just sit there and and think about, oh, what should I add? Give me 1 minute and I'm gonna think about my next question. It doesn't work this way. Or in normal conversation, you can have 5, 10 seconds, 15 seconds silence, but we want to use silence strategically, not because we don't know what to say, but because we know what to say and we're using silence strategically. But silence is another huge topic, and it's a weapon that you have in your arsenal everywhere. But in this case, when we're talking about questions, objection, like in a script, we have some objection handling phrases. For example, if they say, I need to think about it, I need to say this. I'm asking the questions, but can you imagine you have a script and there are questions, in a sequence. And how can you ask the same questions every single time with different people, with different archetypes, with different emotional states? The same questions all over again. In the first place, why do you need the scripts? What's the point? Do we need a script when we are having conversation with our friends, with our family? Do we need anything? Or on a date? There are some experts, dating experts, that tell you, oh, you should have this body language. You should say this, you should say that. You should ask these questions, say this phrase. But do you really think it's going to work with every single girl or man? Think about it. Every single person will have different reactions, and you gotta adapt. You don't need the questions, you don't need the scripts. You need the principles, the first principles. Everything in this world come from the first principles. Yeah, everything, it's been, centuries, thousands of years, everything came from the principles, the first principles. Yeah, maths, physics, everything that is, if you want to learn, let's say, anything, yeah, if you want to understand how the human body works, you gotta first go to the first principle. You don't need to, like, let's say you have a whatever problem, you have a headache. And actually many doctors, they just thinking about the surface level problem. Okay, just take this pill and that's it. But what's the root of this problem? What's the root? And the way how you could understand the root is by understanding how your body works, the organs, every single part of it. Because you never know something, okay, maybe you have a headache, but if you have a headache consistently, then maybe there's something that you need to figure out, where maybe it's your diet, maybe the way how you exercise or anything, or the way how your organs work. Maybe there's something inside of you that is causing this problem, causing this headache. Yeah? Oh, you just have inflammation, or just drink this. But what's the cause of this inflammation? You gotta understand, oh, maybe you have some whatever stomach problem. Now you gotta go to the, go and research how is your, basically, the whole body, every single organ, because everything is connected. So you get the point, right? You gotta understand, like, the basic stuff, like the math, let's say. Yeah, if you know how to, multiply, then all other, calculations will come back to the first principles of math. Like everything, you can have like high level super math, but everything, if you don't know the principles, it doesn't really matter. You won't be able to solve anything. Or maybe you could memorize it, but if they give you another problem, you won't be able to solve it. That's exactly how the sales scripts work. So, and the first reason is, that's obvious reason, it is who are you? Now, let me explain. Who is this person? Who are you? You can't really ask personalized, good quality questions without knowing a little bit about the person, a little bit about the business. So, but then you ask him, okay, but I mean, I don't know the person, and in order to get to know this person, I gotta ask questions. Yes. So in this case, when we're starting a sales call, we're just asking just general questions. General, but open-ended questions. That's the key word. Open-ended questions. Because when we're asking open-ended questions, we let them talk. And open-ended question is just the questions that start with, with what, how, etc. You could ask them if they're, let's say you've asked them, okay, what have you tried? That's pretty open-ended questions. Oh, they say, oh, we tried, SEO, we tried different stuff. Yeah. And then you could ask, oh, and then we try, let's say, running ads on Meta. And then you're asking, Was it good? Yeah, it was good. The conversation, you killed the conversation, you killed the flow. We don't want to, you know, we don't want to kill the conversation. We want to let the conversation flow as like water, naturally, without forcing it. We could direct the water. We could, set a vector, but we don't want to force. We just let it flow naturally, organically. The same way, you're asking these general questions. So the first reason is you don't know what to ask is because you don't know the person. You don't know the business. And maybe you don't know the market. That's why market research is so important. Let's say two entrepreneurs, doesn't matter. Let's say you're a fitness coach and you understand everything about nutrition, about exercises, and the scientific part of it, everything. You know the market, you know your competitors, you know what works, you know what people try and is not so successful. You know what is successful. You know everything. You made your research. Yeah? And let's say another fitness coach. The same offer, the same pricing, but they're just not aware of the market. And you as a prospect, you can say when someone has some expertise or competence. Yeah? Because when someone understands the market, they've done their research, they know what works, what doesn't work, they know what is going on in the market. Yeah. So you just need to understand the person, because let's say a friend and a stranger. It's super simple example, I know but when you know a friend, you kind of know you can ask personalized questions. Why? Because you know something about their story, exactly their story. That's why you don't need any sales scripts. Like, you don't need any scripts with anyone, pretty much. But for some reason, people are using, or the sales industry is pushing these sales scripts and presenting it as a solution to, or as a key that will open up all the doors. With friends, you know what to ask. You can relate to something. Oh, you remember we've done. Oh, like you can crack some jokes as well, and then you can refer to something. Oh, how was your whatever? Oh, are you still? How was your last whatever football match? Let's say you know that they're playing football and they're very, very serious about it, and they're trying to become top players. So you have the hook, pretty much. On a sales call, you gotta ask some general questions to let them speak. Do not interrupt them. Use the silence. And very, very, very cool technique. Very, very cool, it's not even a technique, it's just a subtle part of the conversations that we're not aware of. This subtle part is when you just let them continue. That's it. So let's say they're telling you something, some story or anything, or something that they're emotional about, and then they're saying something, and then you want to say something, you want to add, or you want to ask something. You just You know this feeling, right? You have something in your mind and you just want to ask. And sometimes you even interrupt. But let's say as soon as they stopped, like 1 millisecond or 2 milliseconds, 3 milliseconds, doesn't matter, you're adding something, or you're asking something, or you're saying something, or you're giving your opinion about something, about what they just said. But try this. Give them 5 seconds. So they stop talking, and people think, okay, they stopped, okay, because they have nothing to say. But give them some time. And it's not awkward. It's actually normal. Just be aware of that. You're having conversation. 3, 4, 5 seconds, doesn't matter who it is, prospect, friend, family member. They're saying something, stop. Just, okay. Don't say okay, just. And then 5 seconds, and you will. It's crazy, people always have something to say. Most of the time. Depends on the archetype, depends on the person, depends on their mood, but they will add something because it's just uncomfortable. You're looking at them and you're kind of expecting something from them. You're expecting from them to continue. And then they just continue. And you just keep listening. And the more information we have, the only leverage is the information from them. Knowledge is power. Yeah? You will be always, even sometimes you may think maybe this information is not so relevant, but you may direct, you have more hooks, you have more pain points. We'll talk about the pain points, yeah, because the whole point of it is the pain points. You just have more points to ask, and why do you need a script? They're giving you information. Now the second reason is you are asking surface level questions. Now, at the beginning of the conversation, that's normal to ask general questions because we don't know the person. We're going to always ask, obviously it depends on the environment, if you're at a party or you're in a museum or you're somewhere else, business, whatever event. All depends, but most of the time it's just general questions to get know each other. You just ask, hey, where are you from, what do you do, etc. That's normal. It's normal questions. And then something, they're giving you something, and now you can dive into that, deeper into that. But if you keep asking the surface level questions, the conversation will be dry. Dry AF. Because no one wants to be interviewed. You want to have some fun, always. You want to have some fun. And you want to have interesting conversation. And there's a saying, the quality of your questions will determine the quality of your life. And it's 100% true. People define you by the quality of your questions. Just if someone is talking to you, let's say I reviewed many sales calls, yeah, and when someone one of my one of the business owners that I'm working with had a sales call, and he's talking to him. Like he's giving him information, and then he's asking just he's asking a question that he's already answered before. And then what they're saying, oh, as I already said, I already told you, doesn't look good. It shows them that you're not listening. And no one likes that. Yeah? Can you imagine you're saying something, you're talking. You're giving energy, because talking is energy, right? It's also you can't just, if you don't have any energy, it's kind of, you can talk, but it's not the same. So you investing your energy, you're talking. You're telling them something, explaining them something, and they're asking you something. Yes, they're asking you a question, but they're asking you the same thing. That they're not asking you the same thing. They're asking you about something that you already mentioned, and it shows you that they're just not they were not listening to you. And it's just, okay, this guy's just not listening to me. Why should I continue? Why should I give him more information if he ain't listening anyways? That's what you're gonna think. Normal people, normal person. That's the automatic thoughts. So you gotta be careful. Think before asking. And you could ask a normal question, but the deeper your question is, the more seriously they will think about you. Because even with the successful people, entrepreneurs, they like good questions, and they're always thank you for this question, or oh, that's actually a good question. And if they're thinking that's a good question, or it's a question that provokes to reflect, they'll like you. Because you can't really impress successful people or business owners or any prospects that you want to work with. Maybe they're just successful, but they want to just improve some part of their business or scale something, or doesn't matter. Yeah, they could be good in one area and bad in another area that they want to improve. That's why they're on your sales call. So, and everyone has a huge ego, so you gotta consider many different factors on a sales call. Yeah. And the third one is archetype. What's the archetype? Introvert, extrovert, and actually also one good example, analogy. When you're fishing and you're fishing, and let's say, for example, you have a specific bait for a fish, or you're fishing without a bait, just you're fishing. Theoretically, both are fishing. You're fishing, right? But with a specific bait, you get the fish that you want, the specific fish. Yeah? So the point is, if you personalize your, let's say, if you personalize your questions, it's always, people will just, people will respect you. And it's not about being liked, being loved. Of course they'll like you, of course, at the same time as well. But as Niccolo Machiavelli said, it's better to be feared than loved. And it's not about some dark, whatever, manipulative stuff. Yeah, I also explained that in one of the previous videos. Yeah, you can check it out. But it's about being respected, and it's about being honest with your prospects. Yeah, if they're doing shit, you're gonna ask them questions and pull this pain from them, because you gotta understand first what's the problem, why it's happened. Yeah. So the archetype is, as Carl Jung said, the Swiss psychologist, he literally invented the terms extrovert and introvert. Yes, Carl Jung did this. And when you're asking questions, you gotta keep in mind that when you're asking questions, extrovert will just give you necessary or unnecessary details, everything, because you just like to talk. Yeah. And sorry, and it's getting cold, but introvert will think before they speak most of the time, or they're just shy. Yeah, most of the time they're just shy, or they just don't want to talk. And both have their advantages and disadvantages. But on a sales call, introvert is always, has always advantage. Doesn't mean that extrovert can't sell or anything. No, it's not about that. But introvert is, for the introvert, it is easier to sell. Why? Because they just know when to shut up. Or maybe they don't know when to shut up, but they just shut up because it's their nature. Because on a sales call, we don't want to talk. We want to ask questions and listen. Our prospects should do this work, should talk 80% of the time. 20% we're talking, we're asking questions. Even during the presentation, we have, and simple, it's simple. We don't need any frameworks, any whatever stuff, yeah? It's just simple. I always say that we have discovery, presentation, and negotiations. That's it. And even during the presentation, we are asking questions. Why? Because we're using information from the discovery and asking questions. Personalized questions. Not just random general questions. Personalized questions. We could, how could we ask personalized questions? As an example, we could use something from what they said, their phrasings, their words, their pains, their desires, whatever, and just combine it with a general question. Yeah? So let's say a general question. Let's say in your real estate niche. How do you think the market will just? What do you think will happen to the real estate market in the next 3-4 months? Yeah. Do you think it's gonna be? Do you think it's gonna be more sellers or buyers? As an example, yeah. Or you could say, you said that at the moment you just focus on the buyers. How do you think it's gonna be in the next 2, 3, 4, 5 months? Yeah, because we're gonna get you qualified leads, and it takes takes time, and the closing process also takes time. It takes time, right? Because you said it's also, I mean, it's many. Right now I'm just combining all many questions in one at once. But you gotta ask one question, pause, ask another question, pause, let them answer the question. They're gonna say something you could add, or you could ask this question, yeah. Right now, what I've said, you could ask from this, you can ask 3 questions, yeah. I added all in one, but you don't want to ask like 3 questions in one question, yeah. You're just asking one question, stop. Do not assume anything, do not say anything, stop, ask question, yeah. Never assume anything. Because most of the time, it's just you don't want to assume. You want to just confirm what they said. Because when you're assuming something, then they're gonna say no, it's not that. Oh no, it's not that. Oh, I mean, I disagree with that. Yeah, just not I disagree with that, because you're like, don't assume anything about them, about their business, or just can you explain that if you're not sure, can you elaborate on XYZ? Can you say that? Yeah. Can you elaborate on the on your buyers? Like whatever on your, can you elaborate on that? When, for example, he said, oh, right now I have most of my clients are buyers, let's say, and I don't need any, I don't want to work with any, yeah, like it could be anything, yeah. Right now I'm just focusing on buyers, and then you could ask, and so you're focusing on the buyers. Can you elaborate on how you're getting the buyers, or how they're contacting you? So you see, it's a personalized question, and at the same time you're asking open-ended question. Yeah. So it's gonna be always different. But the archetype, the point is the introvert will not give you enough information. Yeah. So that could be a reason why you don't know what to ask, because they're not giving you enough information. They're they're not communicative with you. Yeah. But you can always open them up. You just need to ask open-ended questions at this point. Yeah. And find what they wanna talk about. Because if you're asking about the pain, it may be uncomfortable, but this is what they want to solve. So if you're visiting a doctor and you don't want to talk about your pains, but you have to, because otherwise they won't be able to help you. Yes, it's not uncomfortable for you to talk about this topic, but they're gonna ask you questions and you kind of understand, and then you will give them more information because you wanna get it solved. It's that simple. And the king that connects all of these 3 reasons is active listening. Active listening. We all know this feeling. Sometime in our lives it happened. In the conversation, doesn't matter. We're listening, we're hearing what someone is saying, but we're not listening. Again, we're hearing what they're saying, but we're not listening. And okay, we're not listening. There's also a huge difference between listening and active listening. Huge difference. You could listen to something, some words, etc. But when you're actively listening, you're analyzing you're listening to their tonality. You're analyzing their body language when they're saying something. You're analyzing the words, the phrases, their exact phrases, their exact vocabulary. You're analyzing why they're saying their words they're saying. Why? Why they're using exactly this? Why did he use this word? What he's trying to say. And listening is just okay. You're getting the context of the information in general. You're getting the context. You're understanding what they're talking about. Hearing is just it's just hearing, but not understanding, not listening, not understanding the context, not understanding anything. Pretty much, just hearing something, some random words. And we all had this moment where we're just hearing but not listening. Maybe because we're bored, maybe because we're not interested, maybe because we don't want to hear. But when someone is asking us a question, when we're hearing, we're turning on. We're getting back. We're getting back our awareness. And now we have to listen because they're asking us questions. So the point is, when you're presenting something, you want to ask questions. So you have a dialogue, not a monologue. And they're participating. Because otherwise, they're going to just fall asleep. And if you don't know what to ask, it means that you didn't listen. It's that simple. Because you can always ask something. There's a method when someone is saying something and there's one interesting keyword from their speech, and you're using this keyword and asking a question. Next question. Yeah, you're asking a question. So and then again, they're giving you some information, and then another word. There's another word somewhere. It's a keyword. And again, you're using this keyword, and you're asking next question. You can ask hundreds of questions this way. So it's just impossible. It's just impossible not to have anything to ask. You can always get something to ask. You can always ask something. You can ask hundreds of questions. But it's better to ask 10 personalized questions than 500 general questions. The general question is needed to get this one word, to get this one keyword. And from this keyword, you can continue conversation. It just goes, never stops. Yeah? It can go this direction, then it can go this direction, then go this direction, come back to this again, go this. Yeah? This is how it works. So, and what's the point of all of this? Yeah, on a sales call. Okay, we know, we understand the market, we understood who are we talking to, yeah, the prospect, who is this person. We're not asking surface level questions, we're asking good personalized questions, we're actively listening. The whole point, the difference between good sales call and bad sales call is the pain. Because without pain, it's just an interview. Just asking questions. Okay, cool. Okay, cool. Cool service. All right. I'll let you know. I need to think about it. Send me some more information. We all heard this. That's it. They will never come back. Most of the 90% of the time, they don't come back. And just, yeah. But when you're pulling pain, the deep pain that is underneath, not just the surface level pain, the deeper pain, this is what we need. We are interested in this, in the bottom of the iceberg. The top of the iceberg is okay, it's fine. We'll get this information anyways. But we need this. This is gonna close the deal. And again, very important, the philosophy of sales. We're not thinking about the close. We don't care about the close. We care about the process. We care about getting the information, the relevant information. And the close will follow. Yeah? We're not desperate for the close. It's like when you're, you know, the saying, when you're trying to catch a butterfly, and you're like, at the end of the day, you're just running, you're just chasing it, and nothing happens. Do not chase. We're not chasing anything. We're not chasing money. We're not chasing the close. Of course we want to make money. Of course we want to close. That's the whole point of it. But if you have this in mind as an objective, you will never close, or your closing rate will stay at the same level. The main idea is focus on the process. Focus on what is within your control. What is within your control and what is outside of your control. Can you control whether they pay you or not? Can you control when they pay, when they complete the payment link or when they pay the invoice? Can you control that? Can you control whether their bank account works and they can send you money? Can you control whether they have money right now or not? Or whether their card works? Different other scenarios. But what you can control is how you conduct the sales call, your competence, how you're asking questions, how you actively listening, and so on. Because sales is, if we're talking about the prospect and the pain iceberg, the sales call is the same iceberg. Yeah? Because we have different sub-skills that we gotta master. Asking questions, objection handling, negotiations, being aware, active listening, market expertise, presentation, pulling pain, and every single part is a separate skill. So it's a combination of different skills. At the surface level, you have to, you have a sales script, you have some questions, ask good questions, ask these questions. Some of this surface level stuff, yeah, whatever. But what's the psychology, the deeper, how their brain works, how the human brain works, why they're saying the words they're saying? Everyone's gonna tell you, this is a sales script, ask good questions, whatever, tonality, yeah. So, if you know the person, your questions will have direction. If you ask open-ended questions, you get the real material. Basically, you level up, let's say you have +1, here you level up. And if you adjust for how they process, basically if you adapt, depending on their reactions, emotions, doesn't matter what they're saying, you don't mistake quiet for disinterest. You're analyzing, you're adjusting. You're not thinking that, oh, they're not communicative, and that's it, I'm not gonna close them. Work with that. Work with the introverts, work with the extroverts. There are many archetypes, and we'll go over that as well. You can comment specifically what kind of videos you wanna see in the future, yeah? Because we're just getting started. Yeah, it's a new YouTube channel. And you listen for the thread, so the next question pulls you one layer deeper every single time. One layer deeper, and we'll get to this sauce. We'll get to that slowly but steadily. With extroverts, it's faster. With introverts, it's slower. Let them open up. There's as an example, there's a huge difference between a river and a well. Yeah, river just flows. Yeah, with it could flow with super fast. Well, you gotta wait. Yeah, you gotta wait, and you gotta literally you gotta be patient. Yeah, you gotta be patient. So, and on that note, this is Socratic Sales. Be formless. Thanks for watching. I will see you in the next one.